So in the previous lecture, you learned what to look for in terms of the problem's context. Now let's talk about SMART problem formulation. As you remember, SMART is an acronym that stands for Specific, Measurable, Action-Oriented, Relevant, and Time-Bound. I'd like to show you how SMART works in practice. So I'll work on an example and show you step by step how a problem becomes SMART. Let me use an example from the energy retail sector, one that I work most closely with recently. Imagine you get invited by the COO of the company responsible for sales. You summarized in your notebook the problem that the manager shared with you in the following way. Quote, "Our profits have been declining despite our strong brand recognition in the market," unquote. This formulation seems very general, so you rightly decide to interview the manager further. You first strive towards the S in SMART. You manage to specify the problem better after further discussion. As a result, you now formulate the problem as, for the last 2 years, the profits in the B2C segment of the company have been declining despite its strong brand recognition in the market. You remember only after the discussion with the COO that you want the formulated problem to be action-oriented, the A in SMART. After all, both you and the manager know that you're there to help the company he steers. So after further interviews and thinking, you specify the problem further and formulate it in terms of actions you plan to take in particular areas of the company's operations. After putting the S and the A into the formulation, you end up with, quote, "What opportunities exist to reverse the downward profits trend of the B2C segment by reducing the cost of procuring energy and increasing the sales volume." B2C, by the way, is a fancy way of denoting sales to consumers as opposed to sales to businesses. As you might have noticed, we've also dropped the fact statement regarding the brand recognition from the formulation of the problem. It has no bearing on solving the problem. We are therefore now left only with what is relevant. So we can check off the S, A, and R of SMART. But good problem formulation quantifies the problem and the achievable solution. So after putting the M into the formulation, measurability, the problem statement goes, quote, "What opportunities exist to grow the profits by $5 million per year by reducing the cost of procuring energy and increasing the sales volume," unquote. Finally, suitable time boundaries, the T of SMART, need to be set for the problem solution. So in the end, you propose to the COO that you will work on the following smartly formulated problem. Quote, "What opportunities exist to grow the profits by $5 million per year by the end of 2018 by reducing the cost of procuring energy and increasing the sales volume?" This way, we've implemented all the characteristics of the SMART problem formulation in this problem. I hope that the use of the example lets you grasp the mechanisms. You can check how you did by taking the quiz at the end of this section. Before we finish this lesson, one last remark about the problem formulation. There are 3 particular things that should be explicitly excluded from problem formulations. These are, firstly, symptoms of the problems at hand, as there is no point in speaking of the problem's consequences while we're concentrating on fixing the origins. Also, always leave out the possible solutions from the formulation, as this will inevitably, prematurely, limit and bias your thinking about the problem. Possible solutions, the hypothesis, come in step 2 of HBPS. Finally, don't include the solution methods in the problem formulation. Don't mix the problem with the tools that might solve it. The time for the choice of tools will come in step 3 of HBPS, work plan design and analysis. Okay, this concludes the section on problem formulation. Feel free to use the Q&A section of the course if you have any further questions.